All right, just pulling out of St. Augustine, the campground here that we stayed. I don't forget what it's called.
Ocean Grove.
Ocean Grove Resort. Nice little spot. But heading south, we're going down to Tomoka State Park. And not far, less than an hour. We're going to just try to hug the A1A as far as we can, go down through Flagler Beach, and to the next stop. Weather's beautiful today. The other thing that's interesting, if you're not doing long travel days, and we try not to if we don't have to, is like today we're supposed to be out there at 11. It's just a little after, but our next stop's about an hour away. But we're not supposed to check in till 3. Now some parks will let you. Some parks are super strict and will not let you, but may have an overflow parking lot to hang out. So we're going to try to find a beach, maybe Flagler Beach or somewhere that's not washed away from the storms, to spend a little time before it's time to check in. We'll see. So we left the resort in St. Augustine, Florida. I had a great time there. A little bit of rain, but I definitely need to go back and explore more, that's for sure. And then we headed to our next stop, which was booked over at Tomoka State Park in Ormond Beach, Florida. It is a 2,000-acre Florida state park located along the Timucua River and just about 3 miles north of Ormond Beach. Evidently it was established back in 1945 and added to the National Register of Historic Places in 73. There's a heritage or history there tied to the Timucuan Native Americans, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But a bunch of wildlife. I guess this is a bird watcher's place. Some of the different animals, other than birds as well, people have noted as seeing, of course, with tortoises, bobcats, deer, gophers, things like that. But bird watching evidently is a pretty big deal during fall migration. But the campground itself, kind of an overview of that. I think it was about 100 campsites, and we had water and electric hookups. And then it was a full 50 amp service. So we had 50 plug, 30 plug, and then a couple of the 20 amp plugs. Of course, they give you a picnic table. A grill, I believe, was set up here versus a fire pit. If I remember, we might have had a fire. I think it was a grill set up at the campsite. I don't know if people have fires in the charcoal grills or not. I guess you technically could. And then they've got some bathhouses, of course, showers. Dump station, since you don't have a sewer hookup. In some state parks, they don't even offer it. I don't necessarily think this one had any, just based on my kind of walking through or riding through. But there's a dump station that you, of course, can use on your way out or as needed throughout the week. And pretty cheap too. We paid $31 per night to stay here at Tomoka State Park. Yeah, so driving to Ormond Beach from St. Augustine. Originally, the navigation in the truck wanted to route us off to the highway, and I wanted to kind of hug the coast the best we could, so we could just take essentially the A1A all the way down. Pretty awesome. It was a really nice day. And the A1A, I've not been on this road, at least not on this part of Florida, back in Daytona a few years back maybe. But we went through Flagler Beach. I haven't been there before, and it's kind of a cool little spot. They had a lot happening, some different places to stop, and maybe not so good for stopping with the trailer when you're towing, but they had down the A1A right on the water, they had kind of some different restaurants and bars and stuff that seemed to be hopping and so forth. But also in Flagler Beach, it was Harleys, Davidsons all over the place. I found out later, just because it kind of turned into seeing more and more groups and people that had trailered in, but they're having Biketoberfest, which I understand is kind of a little brother to the Daytona Bike Week that happens in the spring. But when we got into Daytona, after all that, there was bikes everywhere, so I finally just looked it up, and yep, Biketoberfest has got a whole event. They had roads and stuff closed down for that as well. And we got into Ormond Beach. We were going to try to stop in Flagler Beach. We just couldn't find a place off the A1A that was good with the trailer, so we kind of kept going. But right when we got into Ormond Beach, we found this cool little Mexican restaurant. Big enough parking lot for the truck and trailer is probably a priority. But fun, festive spot. It's pretty neat. Lots of colors, neon lights and so forth. The menus were actually on iPad tablets.
and you cycle through, and it had all the pictures of what you were doing. You still ordered, I believe, through the waiter, but the menus themselves were digital, which is pretty cool. My son liked that. But they had good service, good food, prices seemed reasonable. I'd definitely go back there. We just lucked out because of parking, but it turned out to be a pretty good spot. And then Ormond Beach itself, first time for us being here, but very nice area, well kept, a lot of pretty trees. And when you come over a bridge into the area of the state park, so when you're driving off the A1A and you kind of come back over, you cross over the water on the bridge, and it's just got a good sunset area. We passed it a few times at nighttime or right before, and just real pretty area kept. But the state park and campground itself, so not unlike other state parks, you're driving down this residential area on the road, and you're just a couple miles from the state park entrance, and then all of a sudden you just enter a dense, the houses stop, of course, and you enter a dense forest, kind of like almost a tunnel. The trees are kind of grown up over the road, but it was neat. You get into nature, but we really weren't that far away from anything. It just, for the last couple miles, you kind of get out there, which is neat. And then check in. So there's a short pull-off area at the front of the gate. And usually how we do it, my wife makes the reservation, so they're in her name. So usually she'll go in and check in, and they get our parking passes and whatever else they need to give us, rules. And some of the state parks or campgrounds will have something going on. They'll give you kind of like a little calendar. And then usually once she's doing that, I'll go back and just disconnect our weight distribution bars. I do this in case we have to crank it to get into a tight spot. Technically, with the system we run, you can use it for backing up. They're just a little noisy if you guys know anything about the spring bars. And it's essentially a friction system that helps with the sway, and is an anti-sway system on top of the weight distribution. But they're really noisy at slow speeds. And you might have heard some before on another camper, and it sounds like there's something wrong, but it's just metal on metal. It's just how they work. But we were in I think it's the Way Safe True Toe is the system that we run. I think it's similar to the Equalizer hitch, but they add a little scale dial so you can know your tongue weight. But anyway, it works pretty good. We just, we're not as concerned about the weight distribution, but it helps with the sway and high winds. And so I take that off, and then that's kind of usually our setup, and then we can pull into the campground and get turned in. It's pretty silent when those are disconnected. We got the ball lubed up.
Women live longer than men.
Just got
average.
It's true.
So we just got to Tomoka State Park. Looks pretty neat.
But the campsite, the main road coming in was asphalt, but once you reach the campground area, and it looks like the asphalt that they had was fairly new on parts of these roads, but once you reach the campground, it just turns off to dirt and sand dirt combination, I guess. It's a little whooped out in the vehicle. I don't think you want to hit it much more than 5 miles per hour. I mean, I guess you can if you want, but you'd be shaking pretty good. But it was okay at slow speeds. And the campground is shaded. It's kind of set up like a jungle, but in a nice, in a nice way. We had shade all over. Our spot was pretty big. We only had one neighbor, and I think I don't know how all these parks work. Sometimes these camp posts are pretty well marked, and then other times there's just like employees. I'm not sure how many employees were here at Tomoka, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, based on some of the sites. But I think he had a gator and he was working, nice enough guy, but he would leave in the morning and handle some maintenance, it appeared. But good privacy between the sites, plenty of trees. It's Florida, so we had lizards all over the place running up and down the trees, small lizards. And then when we get there, we usually try to get into our spot. And usually when we get to a new site, my wife and I get things set up, we get backed in, and then I've got a little level Mate Pro that connects to my phone that'll tell me if we're what level left to right. I'm not as worried about front to back, as I can adjust that with the tongue jack, but we'll get up on blocks if needed and get unhooked, get the tires chalked, of course. We get the rug out, and usually we'll move the picnic table under the awning, and then get stabilizers down. We got front and rear stabilizers on this camper, electric stabilizers, and then get the slides on the other side, which are on the driver's side or the non-patio side of the camper. And then usually jump onto the utilities right away. We have solar and battery and a 3,000 watt inverter in this because we have the power package on the Rockwood Mini Lite, but So I'm not desperate to plug into power usually, although we do keep the AC on probably from spot to spot if we have enough sun out there. So it's cool when we arrive, which is nice. But I don't have to plug in the electric right away usually. So sometimes I'll focus on water first. We had no sewer at this site, so what I like to do is I like to fill up our fresh tank. It's a 59-gallon fresh tank instead of leaving the water hooked up. And then I can always add more if we need to because we have water at the site, but it helps regulate the use. And I have a little flow meter that helps keep track of the gallons that we're putting in. And I use one of the black tank flush as well to keep track of everything. But then we set that up. We have a picnic table cover. Some of these picnic tables are a little rough, and they ultimately give you splinters and so forth. You know, that we cover them with fairly cheap bench and table cover that you can throw over top. So we put that on, keep everything clean. We had a couple of sets of them. They work for most. I think they're 6-footers. What we have, but some of these campsites are hilarious. They'll have gigantic picnic tables, you know, 8-footers, 10-footers, all different things. So they only work for partial. We kind of put them on one side and then tie them off. And then we've had a couple of campgrounds that had, I don't know, 4 or 5-footers, I guess. So they're smaller, but we can still stretch them over and kind of clip them down. But it's nice to have. They're easy to clean. Like I said, they don't snag your clothes. But yeah, so the site, we had some trees, but we were able to fit the awning. You got to watch that when you're pulling into some of these spots, is you think you fit, but then all of a sudden you go to get your awning. And then same with your slide outs. You need to know how far out. We come out about 40 inches in our main slide, so you got to leave room for all that, of course. But the awning, you may ask, you know, what's the big deal? You're in the shade. Well, when you're in the trees, you get things dropping out of the trees, leaves, branches, twigs, bugs, lizards, a little bit of everything. So I think just being able to keep the awning out helps keep your patio area clean and your tables clean. If not, I bring a leaf blower and, you know, blow things off as needed. But yeah, we like to be able to do that. So if you've seen this in the background, this is actually our Starlink Mini dish that we put in the truck on travel days. And we got full Wi-Fi going down the road. And then when we get to the camp spot, I pop it out and we put it wherever we can. The spot's a little wooded, so I'm gonna have to try to get creative here. We'll see. Just got set up at the site. We're going to head over to Ramona Beachfront Park, which is supposed to be pretty good. See what happens. Ormond Beach, once we got set up, we wanted to head over to the beach, and they just had some recent storms that came through, and parts of the beach access where we were closed, and they actually ripped away the stairs. So you would walk over, they had beach access, and then the stairs down to the water, and they were gone. And so obviously it was pretty significant storming there, and there was all kind of vegetation all over the beach. So we were able to access the beach. There's a vehicle ramp, and I assume, because I know you can in Daytona and some other places, but I assume you pay a fee and you can drive on this beach. It's a little more compacted, but that area was closed for vehicles and there was debris everywhere, but people were using that to gain access by foot. You know, with the rain, actually, if you recall in the last video of St. Augustine, I talked a little bit about all that rain, and then they had gale force winds and what they call the King's Tide. Obviously, it hit Ormond Beach pretty hard, and we were kind of left with that. But walked down or parked over here at, I think it's called the Ramona Beachfront Park. What town are we in? Ormond Beach, I think. And down at the Ramona Park, they have a little water splash area. They have a playground that's under construction. And it stormed here the last 6 days. They had a few different walkouts down to the beach that are completely ripped out and gone. So you have to go around what used to be the vehicle access to be able to drive on the beach. But they don't let you do that right now because it's a mess. There's debris everywhere, and it's really pretty. The waves are pretty aggressive here today after the storming. They did, we went down the first day, and the water was a little, there was a lot of debris from the storm, and then the water, when it was rolling over in the waves, I don't know if I got this on video or not, but it was almost like an orange brown to orange kind of a mixture. Now that cleared up later when we went back another day, but that first day it was pretty dirty water just from that. So there's a little splash pad fountain area that my son found, and he was like enjoying that. There's a lot of kids playing and so forth. Now they did have a lifeguard on duty. I think until like 6 p.m. But they were there. You know, a lot of places we've been, these beaches don't always have lifeguards, and they had one each day we were there. But I guess it's in the town and the park area, so it's all part of that, so it makes sense. Yeah, and I think one thing, I don't know if I've added this to a video or not before, but in the Cybertruck we have access to use Grok, which is kind of an AI system you can talk to and get answers and storytelling, all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. You can actually pick different voices or characters, and we usually keep it on one called Ara. She's good voice, nice soft voice, but my son loves to talk to her, and I'll put something in here if I can find it, but it helps pass the time on some of the trips. But you know, if you have a question, it's pretty convenient. You just talk through it through your truck, and you have access to the data and everything, so it's pretty neat.
Oh, and Brat's cousin, and Brat's buddy? Wait, the cake one must be Fiddlement. It's this whimsical birthday party. You're thinking of Cake, right? That adorable, bouncy seasonal from the Party Island event? Super festive, with its triple cake layers and
then, of course, we've got Lily the sled dog again. So no dog park here, unfortunately. So we have to resort to our sled dog training, as Lily thinks she is. But I was testing out a 360 camera, and I got some footage of Lily running around, trying to get more use out of it. Pretty awesome. It's the first 360 camera I've used, but adding it to the fleet of technology. But Lily's strong. I mean, she'll run fast when she's pulling you. She'll run fast around corners, faster than you feel comfortable riding. And plus I'm one-handed, right? I got a hand on the bars and the brake, and then I got her leash in the other hand, and she loves it. I think she thinks she's racing the front tire, kind of like a competition, because she acts like she wants to bite it, and then if the tire gets in front of her, she wants to come pass it. Anyway, she's crazy. But that's the only thing that really wears her out if we don't have a dog park. But the bike riding wasn't bad overall, even not even better for my wife's hybrid bike once we got out of the campground being dirt and sand, and the skinny tires on her hybrid bike were it was a little tough. But the new pavement on the main area looks really nice. I don't know, probably a year and a half old, I would say. It was pretty fresh and smooth, which is great. And then they have a Tomoka outpost there, which is, I guess that's their camp store. I'm still not 100% sure. I can't tell. Maybe a private company. I can't really tell. Based on some of the marketing, though, it was kind of advertised all over the park, a little more than just a camp store. But I got a little footage outside and some of the entrance, but we were quickly jumped by one of the employees that we were not allowed to film inside. It was weird. I mean, I didn't sit there and debate or ask a lot of questions, but it was really weird. I've been in a lot of stores, camp stores, and grabbing just an entrance walk around or something, usually 10-15 second clip for these videos, has never been an issue. We've been in many parks, right? Public and private, has never been told not to film. Mind you, I was using my cell phone right here, just because I had a GoPro set up on the bikes, and then I didn't even have my larger Sony camera set up, so just a cell phone. Anyway, we stopped filming, left the store, didn't buy anything. We were going to get some stuff. It was kind of off-putting with how it was handled. Not sure if they're doing something illegal they don't want on video, but it was weird. I presume the way they hang their items on the for sale on the racks is not a trademark that they need to protect, but oh well. But don't worry, she did tell me it was okay that I filmed outside in the state park, which, I appreciated that permission, I guess. But it was odd. So right there, they had a marina as well with a boat ramp in this area. So if you want to put a boat in there, there was access, which was neat. A little bike riding here. The campground's all sand and kind of whooped out, but once you get out of the campground in the park, everything's freshly paved. Really easy little bike ride with the family. We're heading over to check out the Tomoka ruins. It's supposed to have some pretty cool stuff here. Just a short bike ride from the campground. And then some of the history of this place, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce some of these, but Timucua history and Chief Tomoki, you'll see some signs and statue and some different markings at the one far end of the park past the that camp store, whatever it is. But the park sits on ancient Timucua territory where the Nokoroko village thrived around 1,000 years ago, I understand. And on the Tomoka and Halifax rivers, fishing, perfect spot for fishing and gathering. And I guess there was hundreds of native people for centuries that lived there. And then in the early 1600s, Spanish explorers described the Timucua as tall giants, adorned with intricate tattoos. It was part of like the story, but evidently they were a very tall tribe. But unfortunately, back then, and there's some diseases brought by Europeans over that led to some problems with the tribe as well. But there's a legendary Chief Tomoki, and I wanted to learn more about it because they have a placard there at the state park. But online, it notes there is no historical chief by that name. But the park's iconic 1957 statue that was put up, it's a 40-foot concrete statue by artist Fred Dana Marsh. It honors the Timucua spirit through a fictional tale of Chief Tomoki. So defending the sacred golden cup from the warrior princess, it is a fictional tale, this Chief Tomoki to try to honor. But there was a path down to the water, fishing. Was going on. There's a couple of guys down there fishing, but it was brackish water. Like I said before, it is not. We're not huge into fishing, at least not yet. But we don't usually partake in swimming or anything in the brackish water by choice. But there was some wildlife. With all state parks, there's some wildlife there. Saw a woodpecker on a palm tree. I think it's the first time we have seen woodpeckers before. I think it's the first time we saw a woodpecker on a palm tree, which was cool. And then my wife caught a snake actually. She didn't catch a snake, but she caught it on the video, slithering through our campsite. I don't know exactly. Maybe it's a rat snake. If you guys know, let me know. Kind of what it looked like to me. But yeah, just, you never know what you might see day to day here. But back to Ormond Beach, where we were hanging out, where we had beach access, and that splash pad was called, I think it was called Ramona Park. It was neat, little spot, free parking. They had a little bit of construction going on there separate from the storm. But the parking lot was open, and then they had real nice restroom facilities there, changing rooms and stuff. But people were hanging out there. Then they had the splash pad, but it seemed like a pretty popular little spot. We went back to the park, I think a couple different days just to get wet and kind of play a little bit. And then we did check out a local restaurant. It was called River Grill on the Tomoka. I think it was just about a 10-minute drive from the campground, maybe even less. But real good reviews. It sits on the river, and it overhangs. You can sit on the patio and watch the water. But good food, good prices. They had docks out back too on the river, so I assume you can boat to it. It appeared, and unfortunately, we didn't see any gators. They had signs about gators and not feeding the gators, but we did see a squirrel, and that's about all the nature there. But some squirrels trying to sneak some French fries, I presume. And then I don't think my son and I have gotten a haircut since we were in Virginia, so we were getting a little shaggy. We made an appointment, found a local spot, and just got a little trim. Got my son clean. We both got haircuts, so usually that's how we try to do is tag team or get one barber who can fit us in. And it turned out good. When you don't have a regular barber, you just got to kind of do your best to do some research and see what spots you can find. And we lucked out and found a good barber shop right nearby. And then, some of the other footage on here, I think we were back at the Ormond Beach and back at the park, hoping it was going to be cleaned up. So we were hoping that maybe they were going to clean up some of the debris and stuff, so it was a little easier to walk. But it wasn't, and there was high tide. Maybe they don't clean it up. Maybe the vegetation just has to work itself out, because of the nature and the wildlife that they don't want to impose. But we did, in the parking lot there, a few times we were there, we saw a truck house camper set up in the parking lot, and they would they're not going to let you stay there and camp there 24 hours. I don't know if this guy was just coming for the day and then, you know, leave it at night or how that worked, but he was there about 2 or 3 times that we were there. Wasn't as big as Timmy's, but similar idea, and kind of cool little home build there. And then we saw a lot of seagull, I assume migration, lots of groups heading south. I tried to get some of it on video, but it was like every 5 to 10 minutes there was another group of seagulls that were heading down the coast. So I assume it's part of the migration, maybe not. If you know, let me know. But yeah, we got to get Lily. The dogs were out on the beach. We got to get Lily out there. She absolutely loves the beach, jumping through the waves and on the waves and chasing. You got to keep them leashed, but she has a great time. She thinks she's a beach dog for sure. And then, there was more wildlife, at least at the campground. Lily and I found an armadillo one night on our late walk. It was definitely scared by us and then ran into the bushes, but I was able to get a little footage of it, and Lily wanted to chase it. But we did see an armadillo as well. And then, you know, we were there for a handful of days. I don't recall, maybe 4 or 5 days we were there in Ormond Beach. And then once, you know, usually the next day we have to check out. Here in Florida, I think the state parks have all been a 1 o'clock checkout time, which is nice. But you know, Lily likes to help me get things packed up. Usually, if I go outside, she wants to go out there and get on her leash or her lead. We have a little lead we can tie to the picnic table. But you generally start, you know, we have to lead pull everything. Like I said, there's lots of sand down here, and then we have bikes that we haul with us on the bike rack on the back of the camper. And I usually try to get those loaded up the night before if I know, you know, we're not going to ride the next morning if I can. And then, of course, unhook the electric. And I can unhook the electric. And like I said, we have the 3,000 watt inverter and a little bit of batteries on board with the power package that we can still operate everything, even AC and microwave, when on battery. So when my wife's inside, sometimes finishing packing up the inside, we can still have the AC on and function. We unhook, we run a surge protector. A lot of people do. I recommend it if you're camping, just because some of these campgrounds' electrical system aren't always the best, and we have a watchdog surge protector essentially that just keeps it from dropping voltage or getting too much voltage or anything like that. And it has an app on my phone and gives me notifications and stuff, which is nice. And when I was trying to clean up and pull the awning in, there's a large green lizard in the front cap. I'm not sure if he's still on top of the camper or not. I never saw him get off, but he was hanging out, and that's part of it. And then I don't know if I've explained this before, so we'll put Lily in the truck usually and turn on dog mode, and in all Teslas, but with the Cybertruck, I mean, I don't think we could survive without dog mode. So first of all, Lily loves the truck, so she feels comfortable sleeping in the truck versus the camper. So a lot of times we're going to go do something, she'll hang out in the truck. So dog mode lets you maintain the AC, and it puts a message up on the screen that says something along the lines of, my owners will be back soon. Just to give people notification if they see a dog in the car. Lily sleeps, so I don't think she'd bring much notice, but we have access to an in-cabin camera, so we can check on her as needed, and we can change the temperature and all that stuff. So we use dog mode every day. And then, you know, pack up the Starlink Mini is kind of on the list. I've moved the Starlink itself, the dish, depending on the site, I can mount it to the ladder, or I can mount it on the tripod. One that got ran over in St. Augustine, I got a replacement. So we were able to use the new tripod now. But where we were set up here in Tomoka State Park with it, I had it ran all the way out to the side of the road through some trees, and we were able to get pretty good signal. But when we're packing up, I move it into the truck, and I have a mount under the glass roof of the truck, and we have it plugged in while we're driving, so we can have Wi-Fi on the road. It works pretty good while you're not in the deep forest or anything like that. And then, you know, unplug the truck, and then you know, we back up to kind of the whole process here. I got a little bit on video, but back up the truck to the tongue, raise our stabilizers, and we opted for like I said, the 4-power stabilizer. I love them. You can do manual cranks, but I love the electric ones. And then we have a little tote that we load into the camper. When we're traveling, it just holds the griddle and the shelf that mount on outside. And then next step, we'll have the trailer under the ball, and we hook up safety chains. You got obviously your emergency brake cable, and raise the trailer while connected to the truck, and then you can easily put on the weight distribution spring bars and the anti-sway system that it helps with. And then you lower it back down. And then usually we get back in the truck. We turn on the outlets. I have backup, use it to power a backup camera, and then we have a tire pressure monitor system on all the trailer tires as well, and I keep all that plugged in. Plus, if you want to my wife plug in a laptop or anything, we've got a little, we can turn all the outlets in there and run that, which is nice. And then I have a different profile I set up. I don't know if I've talked about this before or not, but you can set up different profiles for drivers in a Tesla and conditions. So you could have one set up for snow and all this stuff. But I have a specific profile set up for when towing the trailer. You can set up different dynamics and preferences, which is really cool. So usually I'll jump in, change the profile, and then when you're plugged in, it'll know you're plugged into the trailer. And since we only have one, it keeps track of all that. You know exactly how many miles you've towed, and just nice little setup. You might want different handling characteristics for when you're towing versus when you're not, which is nice. And then, you know, we hit the road, we hit the dump station first and the dumpsters throughout the trash. And then I use an app. We have an app on this. A lot of the RVs probably do today, with this one being a 2025, but we have an app that lets me keep track of the tank levels. So when I'm flushing the back tank and I get dump station, I can keep an eye on it. And I also have a flow meter on the black tank dump hose, but dump takes, make sure we flush them out good, and then we hit the road to the next stop. That's kind of our routine for getting out of there. The 1 o'clock is definitely better than some of the 11 o'clocks. You feel a little more rushed when you gotta get out of there so quick. But overall, Ormond Beach is a great place, very nice area. I definitely go back. Campground was nice. Sandy dirt roads, good privacy. No full hookups, but electric and water. And some campers there, workers, not sure, but good area for Florida. But yeah, up next we head over to, good, how you doing? We head over to inland just a bit to Blue Springs State Park. So working on getting that one out probably here shortly. I've got a lot prepped, just got to cut some video, and appreciate you watching if you're still here. And kind of maintenance guy checking on the trash here. I'm not sure how bad the audio is, but anyway, yeah, Blue Springs State Park coming up next. See you then.